M-Vave just dropped their latest MIDI keyboard, the SMK-37 Pro. But can this device truly live up to that Pro tag in its name? Stick with me to find out. M-Vave has launched its third MIDI keyboard, and it's bigger and better than ever before. It packs all the functions you've come to expect from their past models, plus some great additions that everyday music makers will love. Inside the box, you'll find a small USB cable for connecting to your PC and the user manual. M-Wave's packaging is always simple and straightforward. While it might not offer a fancy unboxing experience, what the instrument itself offers more than makes up for it. First things first, let's talk about the keys. Even though you get a 3-octave span, more keys to play with than before, these are the same keys used on the 25 key model. Personally, I would have liked them to switch to some bigger keys with a bit more bounce or resistance when pressed. While they're fine for playing melodic lines, if you want to play piano or complex chords, it can be a bit of a hassle. I have skinny fingers and can navigate the keyboard somewhat okay, but your experience might differ. Moving on to the pads, you get 16 of them laid out in 2 rows of 8. They have a decent feel, are soft, responsive, and the aftertouch works quite well. The keyboard gives you plenty of physical controls in the form of 8 knobs and 4 sliders. Both have 2 banks that you can switch between with dedicated buttons. The knobs are quite responsive, allowing you to dial in precise amounts. The sliders are also precise, but they do have a bit of a wobble that might throw you off initially. With a bit of practice, you can definitely get accustomed to how they work. One of the key features you don't see on the smaller SMK models is the presence of physical pitch and modulation wheels. This is quite huge if you ask me, and a really welcome addition. I know some buyers had issues with the wheels not being calibrated from the factory, causing them not to work. M-Vave even put out a video on how to fix that, and I'll leave a link in the description. Mine, thankfully, worked as intended right out of the box. Now, let's talk about one of my favorite additions to the SMK-37, the screen. It's big, clear, and incredibly informative. Everything you do is reflected on the screen. For example, if I press a key, the screen shows it. If I press a chord, the screen tells you what it is. Even more advanced chords like a major ninth are there. The same applies to any controls you use. Knobs, sliders, mod wheel, and so on. One more neat thing you can see here is the battery level when you're in Bluetooth mode and not connected to any device. With that in mind, let's switch to the buttons under the sliders, which offer a lot of useful features. Let's start with the arpeggiator. Once you press the designated button, the function toggles on. If you hold it, the screen will display the different parameters you can change for the arp. For example, I can turn the latch on and then play with all the functions like the arp mode, gate, swing, and more. Complementary to the arpeggiator are the next buttons: note repeat for tracking only one note, and scale if you want to play notes only for a specific scale. For instance, in E-Lydian scale, no matter where I press on the keyboard, I will only play notes from that particular mode. The chord function lets you play a full chord with just one key. You simply select the type of chord and you're good to go. The glow button makes it easy to customize some set and forget parameters, like velocities for the keys and pads, or whether you want to use aftertouch for the pads. The best way to customize the keyboard is by using presets. You can save up to 8 glow presets, which is incredibly handy. This might be a good time to mention that I absolutely love how you can customize every little aspect of your MIDI keyboard right there, hands-on. You don't need any app, you just make the changes easily and clearly with the help of the screen. The patch button is special in my opinion, as it bridges the gap between a MIDI controller and an actual synthesizer keyboard. To get some context, we need to talk about the connections on the back of the device. Here we see the on-off button. Remember, this has a built-in battery, so you can play it without being plugged in. Next, we have the MIDI out, which lets you control an external synth. We also have the USB-C port to plug into your PC and the pedal input. You can change the type of pedal in the globe tab, under pedal, switching between a sustain pedal or an expression one. This is Editing Marius telling you about my pedal problem. It didn't work and I found out why. It was not set up with the right CC command. To assign it the correct way, you need the MIDI Suite app. Sustain, you can change if you want from sustain to expression, then change CC50 to CC64, the default sustain CC. Save and you are good to go. Lastly, you have the audio output. You get a selection of sounds, from piano to harp, some synth sounds, flutes, strings and basses. Of course, these aren't high quality, but if you ask me, this is a great way to just sit somewhere, turn on patch mode and play without needing a laptop. Just some headsets. The next two buttons, Para and FX, are adjacent to the patch button. With the Para button, you can change some parameters of the sound, like the all-important volume. With the FX button, you can control the cutoff of the sound, add some distortion, reverb and delay. Keep in mind, these aren't studio standard, nor are they supposed to be. Still, I think this is a great idea they had, and I'm all for it. Finally, let's talk about the sequencer section. This is an instrument in itself. It's a 64-step sequencer that you can reduce to whatever number of steps you want. It has three modes: drum mode, where you can record one note at a time; key mode, where you can record as many notes on one pad as you like; and live mode, where you can record anything you want in real time. Again, the visual feedback on the screen is incredibly useful. To navigate the steps, you use the key arrows in the pad bank. I personally like the key mode, which is the best for creating a drum loop to play alongside. It's fun and gives you fast results. Of course, the MIDI Suite app, which you can find on the M-Vave's website, lets you customize everything else, like pad colors, CC or MIDI signal sends for every pad, knob or slider, and so on. Finally, the Bluetooth function allows for wireless connection. As we've come to expect from M-Vave, the connection is solid with minimum latency. If you want to use it hooked up to your laptop or PC, you can download the Synco connector app from their site. I'll leave links in the description for all of these. If you want a phone connection, you'll need to download not the Cube Suite app, but the MIDI Suite for iOS or Android. It's a new app, different from the old Cube Suite, and it can also connect to the SMC Pad Pocket. I reviewed that a while back, and at the time, there wasn't a way to connect to mobile devices. M-Vave made a whole new app for it, and it really shows they are listening to their customers. Some final thoughts about the SMK-37 Pro are that it's a good MIDI controller with different use cases. It can mold to various needs. The only real drawback is that the key field itself isn't the best for a 37 key device, though it does suit the 25 key model well. If you're interested in that, you can find out more about it here. Cheers!